terrifying signs of a brain hemorrhage. Stroke and heart attacks are often considered preventable diseases. That's right, there are clearly proven methods to reduce your risk of ever having one. If we followed these strategies properly, neurologists like myself might be out of a job. But honestly, isn't that the ideal outcome for the sake of your health? Let me explain. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Lee, Professor of Neurology at Seoul National University Hospital and author of Before the Brain Shuts Down. Let me get straight to the point. Brain hemorrhages are far more dangerous than ischemic strokes. While the mortality rate for ischemic strokes is around 5%, brain hemorrhages are fatal in nearly 40% of cases. Why is that? Our vital organs are usually protected by dense muscle tissues that provide support and pressure resistance, keeping blood vessels intact. But the brain is different. It's essentially floating in cerebrospinal fluid and has the consistency of jelly or even water. That means if the pressure inside the brain rises and a vessel is about to burst, it does, suddenly and severely. Even a small ruptured vessel can cause a massive hemorrhage. Another reason it's so dangerous is that brain cells are some of the most fragile in the human body. They're the first to die when something goes wrong. That's why our bodies have evolved to protect the brain with thick skull bones, 3 layers of membranes, and even fluid cushioning to absorb shock. Despite all this, once bleeding starts inside the brain, the body treats that blood as a foreign toxic substance. Blood is meant to stay within blood vessels. Red blood cells deliver oxygen, and plasma carries nutrients and waste. But when bleeding occurs, say, from trauma or rupture, blood leaks into brain tissue, and the body panics. The presence of hemoglobin outside of blood vessels is extremely toxic to nerve cells. So now the brain starts a war, white blood cells flood in, trying to clean up what it sees as contamination. This is what we call inflammation. But in the process, those white blood cells cause even more damage, killing off surrounding brain cells. Think of a time when you scraped your knee and it got infected. Pus would form, right? That pus is actually made of dead white blood cells that died fighting off bacteria. The same type of immune response occurs in the brain during a hemorrhage. But unlike your skin, you can't just wash the brain out with saline. When other parts of the body bleed internally, like with a ruptured appendix, we can do surgery to remove the infected fluid, patch up the damage, and replace lost blood. But with the brain, we can't just clean it out. The brain is too delicate. Try to remove that leaked blood manually, and you'll destroy brain tissue in the process. That's why treatment options are limited, and we often rely on anti-inflammatory drugs in time. It's also why hemorrhagic strokes are so devastating. The most recommended test for people over 40, one of the most tragic things about brain hemorrhages, is that they're often preventable if caught early. There are 2 major types. One involves tiny vessels rupturing inside the brain tissue, and the other involves large arteries rupturing in the outer layers of the brain, called a subarachnoid hemorrhage. The latter is often fatal and usually hits people in their 40s or 50s without warning. Shockingly, about 85% of these are caused by aneurysm ruptures. Aneurysms are like balloons, weak spots in artery walls that bulge and grow over time. They don't cause symptoms, even when they're large. Many patients have lived with them for years, completely unaware. But here's the good news. Today's medical technology can detect aneurysms before they burst. If you're over 40, consider getting an MRA, magnetic resonance angiography. While MRI scans show brain tissue, MRA focuses on the blood vessels. It can detect even small aneurysms. If one is spotted and deemed dangerous, doctors can use a catheter to place a coil inside the aneurysm and seal it off, preventing a deadly rupture. Here's a tip. If you go to a big private hospital, the tests are often pricier because of the advanced facilities. But if you're not in need of a highly specialized consultation, you can get high-quality scans at local MRI centers. Ask them how powerful their MRI machine is. If it's a 3 Tesla MRI, that's top tier. Even 1.5 Tesla machines are excellent. If you can get a 1.5T or 3T MRA at a reasonable price, it's absolutely worth it, especially if you're over 40. The preventative strategy. no one talks about. Let me be blunt. There are clear ways to ensure you never experience a stroke. If doctors weren't paid, but patients stayed healthy for life, this method would still be the gold standard. In your 50s and beyond, you need to know where you stand. Are you just at risk? Or have you already developed atherosclerosis artery hardening? If the latter, you need to take aggressive action to reverse it. Here's the simple version. Healthy arteries can become damaged from high blood pressure or toxins from bad habits like smoking and poor diet. Once damaged, cholesterol, yes, even the bad kind, starts to accumulate in those cracks. It embeds in the artery walls and attracts immune cells that try to eat it. Over time, this causes chronic inflammation, and the buildup grows like a tumor inside the arteries. This is atherosclerosis. What's worse? You don't feel it. For years, your arteries quietly fill up with cholesterol plaques. Then, one day, your blood pressure spikes and pop. The plaque bursts, platelets rush in, thinking it's a wound, and a blood clot forms that blocks the artery. That's how a stroke can go from 0 to fatal in 30 minutes, even if you've been fine for 20 years. The key is to never let atherosclerosis develop in the first place. Major risk factors include high blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, and unchecked cholesterol. These aren't random, they're well-documented scientific causes. And if you have more than one, your risk skyrockets. One simple test, a carotid artery ultrasound. It's non-invasive and shows if plaque is already forming. If you're clean, great. But if you're not, it's a wake-up. Call your whole body's vascular system could be compromised. From that point, it's not about fear, it's about taking the right steps. If you're still at stage 2, lifestyle changes can stop it from progressing. But once you enter stage 3, you're playing catch-up. Even so, recovery is still possible if you're proactive. Final takeaway, vascular disease doesn't happen overnight. Diseases like stroke and heart attacks don't just appear. They build up silently over time, driven by poor lifestyle choices and ignored warning signs. You don't catch a stroke, it's earned over years of unawareness. That's why healthy lifestyle advice isn't just fluff. It's science. Eat a balanced diet, not too much, not too little. Maintain a healthy weight, exercise regularly, at least an hour of aerobic movement a day. Don't overdo it. Split it into smaller sessions if needed. Get your cholesterol and blood sugar checked annually, or more often if you're at risk. If you smoke, quit now. Cut back on alcohol. Sleep well, and monitor your blood pressure. Buy a home monitor and check it yourself. Here's the truth. For most of human history, people didn't live long enough to suffer strokes. Our ancestors didn't worry about this stuff because they didn't survive past their 40s or 50s. But now we live into our 80s. That's why vascular health is more important than ever. If you want to live not just longer, but better, start protecting your blood vessels today. The good news? Most of the strategies you need are already common knowledge. You just need to act on them.